Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. I have a very exciting episode today. I know I've said that hundreds of times, so we've done hundreds and hundreds of shows over the years, actually 1,500 different podcasts over the years, or more than that at this point. This is a very unique show because we're going to talk about transitioning the show to a new host, my good buddy, Dylan Tanaka. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to Real Estate Investing Secrets. We're all looking for freedom and the opportunity to live better, more fulfilling lives. But most of us were trained our entire lives to work for someone else and chase their dreams. How can we use real estate investing as a vehicle to achieve financial freedom? My life is dedicated to answering your real estate investing questions and helping you build an investing business that allows you to change your life and the world around you, and to enable you to turn your dreams of financial freedom into a reality. My name is Mike Hambright from FlipNerd.com, and your questions get answered here on the Real Estate Investing Secrets Show. What's up, Dylan? How's it going, buddy?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. So we've been talking about this for months. The time has finally come. I don't have a baton. This is a pin, but I'm going to pass the baton to you. So anyway, today we're going to talk about Mr. Dylan Tanaka. For those of you that have followed me for a while, you probably know who Dylan is too. And if you don't, he's a cool dude. We've become good friends. We're brothers from another mother. And we're going to talk about just the power of communities and the network and creating content. And Dylan actually is going to be taking over as the host of this show. For those of you that don't know, I started a FlipNerd Live podcast as well, where I have some other podcasts. We're actually going to turn FlipNerd into a network of podcasts with a few other hosts, and you'll start to hear about some of those shows as we go forward. Of course, I also do the Investor Fuel Mastermind show, and the FlipNerd Live show just started, which you can register for those. We do those twice a month, and they're really kind of training based, and I'm interviewing just rock stars. In fact, our last show was Jason Lewis, who does about $4 million a year in wholesale fees. And you can get access to those and learn about them and get reminded if you go to flipnerd.com/live. But today we're going to talk specifically about this FlipNerd show, which is basically the real estate investing secrets show and where we're going with it. So Dylan, you excited to make this transition, buddy?
I am. I'm super honored. I've been creating content like this for a long time, Mike, and
yeah,
we met I think 4 or 5 years ago, and I'd been getting your emails for a long time. I've been in the real estate investing game for a long time, just like you, and we finally met in person, and I think we just see that we kind of follow the same path in certain ways when we look at business and relationships.
Yeah, and we have like the same humor, a lot of the same jokes. About the same age, grew up in the Midwest, probably have some of the same values. You're a little more weird than I am, but it all kind of comes with the package, right?
Yeah, us 25-year-old guys were very similar.
Yeah, whatever. When you buy a used car, you can't always pick out the color you want or all the features that you want. Sometimes you just have to take what they've got.
Yeah, sometimes you get the scratches and dents.
Yeah. But hey, so let's talk a little bit. You've been on the show before, but let's just talk about a little bit about your background. You've been a real estate investor for even longer than I have. You've done a lot of amazing things. So tell us a little bit about your background, just so folks can kind of get some perspective of who you are if they don't know you.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it in 90 seconds because when I start talking about myself, it seems like I can go on for 90 minutes. But I started in real estate investing way back in 2003. And what really got me excited was I started going to networking meetings all about real estate way back then. And this was when guys were smoking cigarettes and drinking whiskey, standing on stage, telling stories about owning multi-units. And I was in my late 20s. So I really wasn't even welcome there. It was kind of different. And it was like an old boys club.
Yeah.
So I saw the power of that. And I said, wait a minute, here I am. I'm buying a couple of rentals a year, learned how to flip and wholesale, all that stuff that everybody else does. But then I saw that there was something super duper powerful about being really just the promoter. I didn't know I was being a promoter, but I was the facilitator of this group and created my own RIA group in 2006. And this is in Metro Detroit. So Mike likes to make fun of me for calling it Metro Detroit, because if you're not working in Detroit proper, we're known as Metro Detroit, not really like Southeast Michigan.
Like Detroit specifically has just tried to cut itself off from actual Detroit. If you're in the city, it's Detroit. If you're in the suburbs, then it's like, no, we're not Detroit. We're Metro Detroit.
Right. And it's even worse for us who work Metro Detroit, because the real Detroit investors are like, those guys aren't from Detroit. But when I come down and hang out in Dallas with our Fuel Fam and other events, you always say Detroit. So, So yeah, I saw the power of that, and it was really unbelievable. And back in '06, this is around the foreclosure days, just pre-foreclosure days. So we would have hundreds of hungry investors come to these meetings. And again, being from the Midwest, got the big three guys, they've got huge retirements, and a lot of them don't trust the stock market. So what do they trust? Bricks and sticks, as we say. So these guys and girls would go out and they'd buy rental houses a lot of the time. There wasn't as much flipping going on in the mid 2000s. It was a little bit more conservative, I think, at least around here. So once I kind of saw that power and standing on stage, and really what I did is I would bring people just like you did with me, right? I bring in a guest. I'd talk for the first 10 or 15 minutes, give away like a flat screen TV or like, I think it was like Apple iPods, right? It was before AirPods. It was before what do you call it? Apple. What am I trying to say here?
I'm not an Apple guy. I don't even
right. No,
you
no,
weren't
but like
you weren't giving away like 25-inch black and white tube TVs back then?
Yeah, almost. I was trying to say iPads. So I'm like all these different Apple gadgets. So this is so long ago, right? So it was so exciting. We'd have all these vendors, and we'd have 15 different vendors, sometimes 20 different vendors. We'd have a couple hundred people in the room, and I was buying and selling foreclosures is what I was doing. So, and I had a couple partners at the time starting out in business. A lot of us partner up. So here I am. I'd have 10 or 12 foreclosures that we owned because it was very difficult to just assign properties back then. So you usually took them down and you own them. So I'd be standing on stage, and I wasn't always pitching my own goods, but everybody knew who I was. So when I got off the stage and it was networking time, here I was handing my properties out to hundreds of hungry people who couldn't figure out how we bought these properties so deep. So I saw the power in that, and I said, this is really what I want to do. I don't know how you make money at it, but there's been a lot of different iterations of the RIA group and super RIAs, as we call them, or whatever, and different mastermind groups. But I knew that's what I wanted to do, and have probably finally figured out a way to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I invested for a long time. Then people started asking me to coach. So I started helping out in coaching, started speaking at events. And I really love, for me, I just love networking. It's one thing to get together with somebody and have coffee, right? It's another thing to be able to speak to dozens, hundreds, or thousands of people and kind of share your knowledge. And on some level, it gives you some purpose in life, right? You're juiced up to like help other people. And on some level, it's like when I interview people on the show, you and I have known each other for a long time, but I've had plenty of guests that I kind of met on my show. They were guests that I had on. In fact, that's really how Investor Fuel, the mastermind, and everything I've done outside of real estate that's kind of been tangent really started was from this very podcast, the FlipNerd podcast, 8.5 years ago. When we first launched it, it was just interviewing guys like Trevor Mock and Matt Andrews and a lot of people that were still really early in their career, and building friendships with them and things that just kind of came out of that. And so I've known at this point that, even my most successful businesses right now are all through partnerships. Even though I have some that I don't have partners in, like my funnest businesses, if that's a word, most fun businesses. And even some of my most profitable or biggest businesses are partnerships with other people that I met through networking, like most of them through Investor Fuel, my very own mastermind. Right. So it's really kind of cool how that happens. I think for you and I both, it was just an evolution of doing, then teaching, and then helping other people get started and sharing just the message of real estate investing, which has had a profound impact on my life and yours both.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And I always would joke and say there aren't very many rooms like the rooms that we get in where there's people who are crazy, who believe in themselves, who are willing to burn the boats, right? And we quit our jobs and we go to school and we get these big degrees, and it's so important. And our generation, we were told basically you had to go to college. There was no way if you didn't go to college you were going to be nothing, right? We know that that's changed a little bit, and I don't know where all that exactly came from, but we're not going to go on a political tangent here. But now we know that isn't necessarily true. But we had to really I think we had to break through, a lot of people holding us back, because our parents' generation, they went and got a good job and they worked somewhere for 30 or 40 years and got the gold watch, as they say. And our grandparents, they did kind of the same thing, or they may have come from like maybe a more agrarian background, like, the farm days. We're not quite that old, but that mindset anyways, the
Sure.
World War II generation and the
Yeah.
the depression babies. So we were told you had to go and do that. And today, this is what's so exciting to me, not just in real estate investing, but entrepreneurship. And they seem to bleed together. It's like every big speaker that if they're not in the real estate space, you come to find out that's kind of where they started, right? Because how the heck do you really like pull yourself out of like nowhere, and flipping houses or rental houses or investing in real estate in general is just a great way to do that, to build that foundation. Once that foundation's built and you have that cash flow, and that mailbox money, now you can kind of take some risks, right? And take some big chances.
Yep. For those of you that are listening, if you've been following for a long time, appreciate you being here. I will tell you this: nothing's going to change other than a new pretty face that's behind the microphone there. And I'll still pop up every once in a while. I'm actually not going anywhere. It's just what's hit me over the past few months is I'm running, 3 different podcasts now. The FlipNerd one has been, I'll say this, for the first several years, I did 3 shows a week, then went to 2, then went to 1 for like the first 6 or 7 years. And then it started to become kind of inconsistent. I'm not even doing them every week. And it always pained me, but I just have, I run 4 different businesses and have a lot of things going on, have a lot of people that are in my mastermind or investor machine or lead gen and data company. And I have hundreds of customers ultimately that I'm trying to serve. And I love podcasting. And in fact, I'm just moving over to host some other shows. So not going anywhere, but it's just this wake up for me of, you know what? I have this idea of turning FlipNerd into a network of shows with several different shows on it. And Dylan was one of the first people that I reached out to and said, well, what do you think about this? Would you want to be involved? And he said, yes. And then it wasn't until recently where I said, why don't you just take over the FlipNerd Real Estate Investing Secret Show? I mean, all the talks at that point had been up to maybe starting a new podcast on the FlipNerd network. And, you see Dylan has the I'm a hybrid shirt on there. So to clarify, he is a hybrid agent and an investor. And in fact, talks a lot about being an agent and an investor. And I don't think that topic is going to overwhelm this show. It's a part of who he is. He's also a V-neck guy. If you haven't noticed, I'm more of a crew neck type guy.
Believe me, I'm working on Mike to get the V-necks. I'm working on it.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. But this show is only going to get better. It's going to certainly get more consistent. And the quality of the guests is only going to get better. And in fact, Dylan and I run in the same circle. So there'll be lots of amazing guests and maybe some folks you've seen before and a lot of new folks too. So before you think that, it's FlipNerd's going away, it's not. It's actually just going to kind of get better and return back to its roots of stability. I think you're planning to publish a show a week on average, Dylan. Is that right?
Yeah, that's my goal. I want to go a little bit crazy. I love creating content. And, once you get to the point where you kind of have this thing, like I'm sitting in my cockpit set up, I really just have to plug a couple cords in and hit go. Yeah. And between your enormous network and my not so big network, don't tell anybody I said that, we're going to have some great folks on. And it's not just about the names, but it's really about, I just think it's about inspiring other entrepreneurs. I can learn a lot from a guy who just started. I've got a guy who's in one of my networks and he's on one of my teams, and he's not afraid of anything. He'll run through a brick wall. So here I am, I'm looking at the book and I'm like, I don't like the cover of this book. He's already read the whole book and it's the best book he's ever read. So sometimes when you're an old dog, and I hate to think that way of myself, but unfortunately I have the gray hair, right? You have to, sometimes you got to shake things up a little bit and just look at things through, other people's eyes.
Yeah. And one of the benefits of what we're doing here is I just am blessed to have just an amazing network of people. And there's some very specific people that I've talked to about starting new shows that I think can really add a lot of flavor to, because, it's interesting. It's always been interesting to me. I have a lot of experience. A lot of people look at me and think that I've done, somebody recently said to me, everything you touch turns to gold. And I was like, well, you haven't seen everything I touched because some of it turned to absolute shit. Right. But that's the perception sometimes when you're on social media and on podcasts is that things were easy, right? Overnight success, but I can tell you it's been 14 years in the making, and I am successful by most standards, but I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like a lot of us that have had a lot of success keep wanting to go to that next level. And for me, that next level has been something that's really, really important to me is my network, right? The power of your network is really critical. And I'm just tapping my network to say, can you host some shows with me? And let's get our message out there more and more. So for those of you that have been watching, things are just really getting started here at FlipNerd.
Yeah, and some people, like when Mike and I first became friends, I found out how aligned we were because, like Mike said, we do have a lot of the same just beliefs and views and kind of old school, but we're still super duper cool for being slightly old school, right? But it's
Super
that
cool.
power, yeah, super duper cool. But it's like you almost have a moral obligation, and you know, I'm a member of Investor Fuel, so I've been there 4 years now, and that's the nationwide mastermind that Mike has created, right? And mastermind for us real estate investors. So in the beginning, I think I would get on stage and talk a little bit about like building your network and the meetup groups and how social media was important in your community. And sometimes guys' eyes would glaze over a little bit and they're like, I just want to flip more houses. How do I, you know, find a better way to find the seller, or all the really tactical things that we do? But
right.
I've seen a huge change in the last year, I don't know, maybe year and a half, and maybe the stupid pandemic had something to do with it, I'm not sure, but we have many members in our group who fully focus on relationships to get deals. We've got Brian Daly, he's in San Diego, so not a California guy, but San Diego is a very hot, you know, in multiple different ways, right? It's a hot area. It's tough to get deals there. Yep. And he gets, I think, like 80% of their deals, they get them from relationships. Some of these companies, the owners of these companies that Mike and I get to deal with and get to be friends with, they have relationship managers. So they're hiring people to literally text or call Dylan and say, hey buddy, why don't you come to this event? We miss you. And it's like, wow, it's so much different than it used to be. But the power of that, the pendulum swung way over here where you could just email and things would happen. And now I think it's getting back to like, if Mike calls me and he has a deal versus just texting it out to a million people, we might be able to put that together. And maybe it ends up being more solid because we actually talk like humans versus going back to that, like, you know, pushing, just pushing away and being kind of like robots.
Yeah. I think, you know, what it is, you know, I don't think it took the pandemic to change that. I think a lot of people just gravitated that way, but I think generally what's happened with social media, and you and I are both very active on social media. So not to, you know, it's kind of the negative side of social media is that we have thousands of quote friends, but we feel like we don't have any close relationships. Right. And so, you know, I actually did a poll a little while back about what people think about podcasts. And I found like people that have been around for a long time and listening to podcasts, in fact, a lot of other podcasters, they feel like they listen to less than they used to. But I think collectively, as the world goes, or certainly the population of real estate investors or people that want to be real estate investors, I think they've just blown up. And so I think we have this obligation to put great content out. And I know that, you know, the truth is for a lot of years, guys, I didn't even have anything for sale. I was just like doing it. That's not the best business decision. But it's just something that that I'm passionate about. I know Dylan's passionate about. He's a content creation machine. And so you guys should just follow us along. We'll put down in the show notes, we'll put our links for social media. And I'll make sure that we have a private Facebook, a private FlipNerd community online that you can join that has a lot of great content. And it's where we broadcast the new FlipNerd live show that I'm doing here twice a month. So lots of great stuff in there. We're big on community.
And there's thousands of investors in there, Mike. You didn't mention that.
We have thousands.
There's a ton of great guys and girls in there
already in there.
Yeah.
And we really go out of our way to kind of curate and make sure that it's not full of a bunch of spam and crap, right? Where people are just spamming you all the time. And so it's hard to avoid some of that, but we do our best to try to keep it clean and add a lot of value, right? I think at the end of the day, I think back to the people feeling maybe have a lot of friends on social media, but kind of feeling empty is part of our goal is to change that. I mean, I do that with the Investor Fuel Mastermind, which we have people that are like friends and their families travel together and lots of amazing things inside of there. And we're going to do that the best we can, you know, on social media or online as well.
Yeah, I think it's been a game changer for me, just building relationships. And then I guess as you level up, you know, you think about local, you know, I've always been a local guy, or for a long time I was. And then as I leveled up and started coming to the Investor Fuel events and meeting people from around the nation who were doing things bigger and better than me. And in some ways, maybe I was doing the same, but just in a different part of our business. Yep. So that really is the true definition of the mastermind, right? Like two minds make a third mind, and it's better than what it was before. Yeah, so it's exciting to build those relationships. And I've, you know, really made some great friends who I probably wouldn't have been friends with, not because we're different people, but A, you wouldn't have met, but and B, you just have that one breakthrough, or that, you know, there's been some emotional moments at our meetings, which is always like, you know, I try to act tough because I'm from Detroit or Metro Detroit.
You
But
have
then,
to, or
you
you
know,
get your butt kicked.
right.
At
I've
least when
seen
you're
a couple,
growing up.
yeah, not as much anymore, but I've seen a couple, you know, tough guys break down, and it means a lot, you know, and that's not what it's all about. But when you see that, you know, it really strengthens any type of a group, but ours specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. Investor fuel for sure. And probably some of that culture, you know, flows over into FlipNerd as well. I mean, I guess it's always, I like to say that I don't have a big part of to do with the culture, but I mean, these are my businesses and my groups, and surely I had a role in that, but it's really, this is, we have this common bond of real estate investing, but at the end of the day, I think we're all trying to build stronger families, stronger lives, businesses that give us the freedom to do what we want. And some people, you know, would lead you to believe that it's all about real estate. And I think for guys like Dylan and I that have been around a long time, and our buddy Matt Andrews said it perfectly, that real estate isn't the thing, it's the thing that gets me the thing. What I want is more time with my family, more freedom, more flexibility to do what I want. I want to wear cargo shorts and flip-flops to work if I want to. Like, I want to wear a hat to work, whatever it is. Real estate can give that to you. And we don't forget, because this is a important part of our culture, that real estate ultimately isn't the thing. It's the thing that gets us the thing. And
Absolutely.
Yep. So we're going to bring you guys amazing guests, keep bringing amazing guests. In fact, at a higher rate now, because we're launching new shows and more consistently doing this show. And you're going to meet some of our friends, and sometimes these will be newer friends to us. A lot of times these will be people we've been friends with for a long time that can add a lot of value to you guys. And it's not all necessarily about the real estate. It's about how to live a bigger and better life.
Yeah, one of my coaches, I still have coaches myself, you know, they talk about Michael Jordan and being from Detroit. I hate Michael Jordan, but now I totally respect him. But how many coaches did Michael Jordan have? So you have to look at that and say, if I want to be better, I have to surround myself with the right people. But when I was at the last Investor Fuel event, I get to jump on stage and talk a little bit. And I brought up something one of my coaches said, and Mike talked about this a couple seconds ago. It's about freedom. But he said, what's your definition of freedom? And I was in a room of 50 people. So everyone had a different definition. But in the end, the definition is really being able to do what you want when you want. And if that means going to work 16 hours a day, like the old school guys, some of the construction guys I know, that's okay, right? If that means, like Mike said, putting on your flip-flops and your cargo shorts and having a latte and working an hour a day, if that's what you've built, then that's great. But it's having that freedom and the choice. So if you want to go camping with the family or bike riding, or if you want to jet set off and, you know, to Ibiza or whatever, you get to do that. But you have to find something that's going to get you there. And I think the difference between Mike and I and a lot of the Instagram all-stars out there is we put in the work. Like, we have put in the work, we still put in the work, and that's just ingrained in you. And for me, like, that's something that I'm always pushing is you can have all the stuff for sure. You still got to put in the work first.
No doubt. No doubt. Yep. Awesome. Well, guys, we're really excited to have you keep following us along. I'm very appreciative of Dylan, my good friend, for taking over the show. Thank you, Dylan. I'm going to give you a little golf clap here. Excited to have you on there. If you guys, this is your first time listening to the show, this is probably a weird show for you to listen to, but we have literally over 1,500 shows. If you go to flipnerd.com, you can access all those shows completely for free. We have hundreds and hundreds of blogs, lots of free training, just a site that we've been building for 8.5 years. It just has like thousands of hours of content and all sorts of amazing things. Again, I just launched a flipnerd.com, or the FlipNerd live show, which you can find by going to flipnerd.com/live. We have you just kind of register there so that we can send you reminders. In fact, we broadcast it inside of a private group where we do other live content and other stuff. So you want to go to flipnerd.com/live. Dylan is a member of my mastermind, Investor Fuel. We have hundreds. We just had an event a couple weeks ago. We had nearly 200 of our members and partners there. And you can learn more about that by going to Investor Fuel. And we haven't talked about it a lot here, but I also run a done for you lead generation company. It's very data heavy. So we really go out of our way to find better data than anybody else. That's called Investor Machine. And you can learn more about that by going to theinvestormachine.com. But not going anywhere. at all, other just kind of handing the mic or the baton to my buddy Dylan to take over this show. And we'll be announcing some new shows that are going to be coming out soon, focus on professional investors, those that are looking to scale, and multifamily and lots of other amazing things. So Dylan, any final words for you, my friend?
I think final words for me are just, it's all about your network. You got to get it. You got to put the time in, but when you're there, pay attention. I say this at Invest Fuel every quarter. When you guys are watching these podcasts or when you're networking, take the time to actually do something with the names and numbers that you got, because you got to take it to the next level. And that's the difference between just watching a quick 3-minute video from Mike on Facebook, or you're going to join the free FlipNerd group. And then inside of there, you're surrounded by a different class of investor who's going to help you get to the next level. And then you can level up and level up and level up and level up. There's guys way above our pay grade that we all aspire to be like too. Yep. So, one hand's reaching down, the other hand's reaching up. You put them together and you can really become more than you ever thought you are.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, we'll end on that note. Everybody excited to move on to the next chapter here. Go to FlipNerd.com to learn more and pay close attention here. We're going to start pumping some shows out with my buddy DJ Dylan Tanaka. Call him DJ. But some amazing shows. He'll be an amazing host, and I'll pop my head in every once in a while, checking on you guys. See you on the next show. Take care.
Thanks for listening to today's show. There are 3 ways I can help you start or grow your real estate investing business. If you're a new investor and just getting started, the FlipNerd Investor Coaching Program is the most effective program in America. I've been coaching and mentoring new real estate investors for 10 years, and my students have literally purchased thousands and thousands of properties. Many of them started with little to no experience at all. Our program is a paint-by-numbers program where we tell you exactly what to do week by week to make sure that you don't get distracted on your way to results. We show you how to build a real business, not just create another job for yourself. New memberships are limited. You can learn more and apply or schedule a call with me and my team at flipnerd.com/coaching. If you're an experienced investor doing a minimum of 10 deals a year, up to 500 deals a year or more, or have a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio already, you should check out our powerful Investor Fuel Real Estate Investor Mastermind. Over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors are members, and it's not uncommon for our members to 2 to 5x their business just from getting around other members at Investor Fuel. At Investor Fuel, each of us are business advisors to one another's businesses, but we don't stop at business. We focus heavily on becoming better people and living fuller lives. If you're looking for fuel for your business or fuel for your life, please check out InvestorFuel.com. Applications and interviews are required, as most investors are not a fit for our community. Please learn more at InvestorFuel.com. If you're not ready for coaching or masterminds but eager to start learning more about investing, please join our private Facebook group by visiting flipnerd.com/Facebook. New members get access to free training from us right here at flipnerd.com, and it's a community to safely ask your questions, a great place to get started. Simply go to flipnerd.com/Facebook to request your access today.